But after a series of setbacks in our work, one night in my prayers, I questioned God about this. I said, God, don't you have too many children? That's what's being said around in our area a lot. Well, she just has too many children to be a single parent. And I know God is a single parent. So I just said, don't you have too many? And God said, no. And that's the end of it. So I asked Molly Shepard, a friend of mine, she's now deceased, Arapaho Indian, adopted 57 children, died at the age of 88. And she didn't just adopt pretty little babies. She adopted all the way up, sullen, smack mouth, I'm not want to talk to you, adolescents. Tough to deal with. You'd rather be somewhere else with somebody else. And she adopted them too. I said, how did you do that? How did you handle it? And she said, we had one rule. The older ones help the younger ones. Those that are able help the ones who are not able. And it worked out fine. I just thought that ought to catch on. It'd be nice if that would catch on. But we're going to have to quit saying, well, they're not my kids. Well, they're not my kids. Well, you can't say that anymore. We're all children of God, the family of God. We have been reminded now. Let those who are able take care of those who are not able. That's the primary function, I think, of government, really, as well as church. Not too long ago, I was flying back to Atlanta from, where was I? It's the Ontario, California airport, out from Los Angeles. But I had been in Loma Linda. You don't have to get all excited. You never heard of it. I hadn't heard of it, but it's a hospital and a huge church and a community, Seventh-day Adventist. And I'd been invited to spend several days out there and had a great time. And I was on the way home, and I was seated next to a woman who was going to Atlanta. And I said, you're going home? She said, no, I used to live there. I'm going back to see my grandkids. You at home in Atlanta? Well, I said, close. She said, what were you doing in California? And I said, I was at Loma Linda. She said, oh, that's that Seventh-day Adventist place, isn't it? And I said, yes, it is. Are you Seventh-day Adventist? I said, no, but they invited me. You went to the Seventh-day Adventist place and you're not Seventh-day Adventist? I said, no. I mean, what's the matter here? And she said, I know what you were doing. And I said, what? She said, you were othering. I said, I was? And she said, yeah, you were othering. I said, what's othering? She said, my preacher preaches on it every Sunday. We need to do more othering. What he means is get acquainted with people who are different from yourself, establish friendship, share in work and play and prayer and praise and everything together. Other people, the other, get acquainted and deal with and relate to the other. He calls it othering. He preaches on it every Sunday. I am so sick of his talking about othering. It's just a fad, she said. And she got all bothered about it. It's just a fad. It'll pass. I'll be glad when it passes. If he says one more word about othering, I'm going to throw up right there in church. I said, it's not a fad. It's not a fad. She says, it is a fad. She said, look here. And she opened up the Sky magazine, the airline magazine. And there was an article there that was in English, in Spanish, and in Japanese. She said, now look at there. The airline thinks they're othering. She said a few years ago it would just be in English. And we'll get back to just having it in English, but it's just a fad. I said, it's not a fad. It's as old as Christianity. And she said, what do you mean? I said, when Jesus died, Pilate put a sign on the cross, Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews, and it was written in Hebrew, Latin, and Greek. She didn't say another word. I hated to pull my Bible card, but she was beginning to get on my nerves.